deep. I'm like, wow. He was different, but he can write.
Well, I'd love to welcome everybody to the fourth and the last edition of the English Literature Writers Conference. It's fantastic to have Nicole and Arthur and Drummond Brown on the show. So welcome,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you today. So,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, I wouldn't love to waste too much of time. We just love to go ahead into it. But it's very, very fine that all of us are all poets today for this section today. And yes, I'd love to, go ahead and pick it up from, let's start from Nicole Gillespie, right? I'd love to pick it up from Nicole Gillespie. Nicole Gillespie has been writing a soul out since the age of 11. However, she found her confidence as a writer, poet in her 40s, which pushed her to become an author of two excellent books, Transparent Moment and Mirror's Reflection. This landed her the People's Choice Award of Kansas City for Best Author and a 5-star rating on Amazon. Her writing style is very emotional and expressive, which she's fearless about sharing. Nicole Falk's book of poems, Transparent Moment, is so precious to her, like a priceless treasure. The reason is that many of the poems our readers are reading were written at a time in her life she felt no one was listening. So she wrote them without care of embarrassment or shame, because our readers were only her and God at that time. Every poem in a Fox book is likened to a biography of our lives that is as raw and open as Nicole's second book, Mirror's Reflection. So I'm going to hand over to Nicole. Let's get an introduction to have pick it up from there and talk about a fantastic book of poems.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Peter. Yes, it's the age 11 and 12, and I just always will find myself writing all the time, and I always had a dream, which was just a dream of doing a book as when I get older or to become an author, but it was just a dream because I wasn't too confident in myself at that time. But I can remember people always asking like, what are you writing or whatever. So I began to share my poetry, which was my silent prayer to God and different things like that. And people they begin to love it. And I had this friend, and she said to me, she's like, Nicole, I think you should do a book. And it surprised me that she would say that because that had, like I was saying before, had always been a dream of mine to do a book. So I did my first book, Mirror's Reflection, and people were so receptive to it. And they found so much relatability in it. It gave me confidence to do my second book, Mirror's Reflection. And the journey just took off from there, where people was loving it. People was calling me or inboxing me with their secrets and saying, oh, I can relate to your poetry, your poems, because my poetry is about love, family, religion, just humanity in itself. And a lot of people's like, oh, it's so heavy and raw. These are the things that I like to say. You put them in the words so good in the form that you put them in. So my journey began there with my first book and getting interviews. I've been on interviews and I've been interviewed and I have great reviews and um, I had speaking engagements and stuff. So it kind of boosts my confidence. And now I'm kind of walking out there and just trying to present myself, sell myself to other people. But that's my journey.
That's quite amazing to know. That's
Yes,
fantastic to know. And in the other section, we love to have you to do some recitation of your
I would
work.
love to.
Yeah, but
Yes.
before that, I'd love to move to the next author, um, author Rennie Drummond Brown. So I'll be reading a short bio of her before handing over also to Rennie to pick it up from there. Rennie Drummond Brown is a renowned author, creative writer, publisher, and poet residing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She holds a Master of Art degree in creative writing with a concentration in poetry from Charlton University. She also holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Christian Ministry Leadership with a minor in Biblical Theology Studies, graduating summa cum laude from Geneva College of Western Pennsylvania. In addition, she received an Associate of Art degree in Christian Ministry at the Center for Urban Biblical Ministry, where she served as class president. Drummond Brown is an accomplished poetess with experience in creative writing and authored several books to her credit. Her poetic works are recognized across the globe. So I'm going to hand over to you, Rennie, to pick it up from there.
So our topic is going to be about publications, as discussed earlier, Peter. But my book that I published this week, this is the hardback form. It's Underground Railroad Poems. There's a Train That's Coming by author Renee Drummond Brown is an historic ride from the West Congos to down south and on to the uppity north on the east side of town. The melancholy poetic account carries loads of heavy freight and provides easy access to major attractions such as Africa, slavery, the civil rights movement, and the so-called thing that some call freedom. While Moses had the vision to make it plain, Harriet Tubman laid the groundwork for author Renee Drummond Brown's mission to network literature that needs extended globally, connecting our historic accounts to our future generations for the purpose of preserving our dark truths. Though beautifully crafted and eloquently penned, each poetic boxcar carries the weight of the world and speaks accurate volume poignantly to the eye of the reader's mind. So that is my latest publication, and wow. I'm so proud of that book, amongst some of my other books. Nicole, as you talked about being a Christian writer, spiritual writing is my first love. And I think that's why I connected so well to Peter's wonderful book, because the veins of that book also, yes, the veins of, and I have my copy downstairs in my library. So, but the veins of Peter's book certainly spoke to my soul. But also what I liked about Peter as a writer, that we have to be careful. We don't want to get boxed in, I think, as you so eloquently put it, Nicole, to just being looked at like a Christian writer, because there's so many depths to you, more than just being a Christian writer. You have so many words inside of you that need to be heard across the globe. So in saying that, Peter's book, I think, though written that you got that flair of that Christianity, more so to speak, as I said to him before, it wasn't too didactic and it wasn't too preachy.
Absolutely.
But it was enough to pull everybody into his words. And so,
yes.
I go back to you when you were speaking to my spirit as we started this show. Say your words loud and clear. Say them so that the world hears them. Everybody is not going to receive all of our words, but what we just have to do is do our best to put them out there for the entire world to take notice and see and hear our voice. We have powerful voices and we are strong.
Yes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love to add to it, to what you said, because actually my kind of writing, like most people say, the book is come out somewhat biblical and it's like a Christian. I know it's somewhat biblical, but I don't want to make it too much of Christian. I don't want to generalize it as if it's only meant for Christian. It's something that I intend to be read vastly, all across by people, irrespective of their religion and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why I've sought to be too preachy or to be too to move very deep into religion. So I love to put it in a very fair manner. and make it something relatable to everybody. And as such, it
Yes.
doesn't lose its taste. Yeah, so there's a way
Yes.
to make things in a way that they won't lose the message, they won't lose the taste, but it will be moderate. It will be on a very nice level.
Yes.
The key is you're genuine, Peter, and that's the key
Yes.
when you speak, and that's what I got from Nicole. When you're a genuine person, that is how you're going to come across. And that's what I got from that book, and I believe that's what I penned in the review about.
Yeah. So the next speaker, the next author is Ifeanyi Ogbo. Ifeanyi, I don't know if you can turn your phone in a way that it will be positioned, because it's absolutely, I think it's much better this way. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be having him also to have a
All
short
right.
discussion about his book. So I hand over to you now.
All right. Thanks, Peter. It's so good to be here, and it's been wonderful listening to Renee. And sorry, I didn't catch the name of the other lady.
Nicole.
But Nicole, yeah. So nice, so beautiful. Like, I love the fact that we are all connected, even though we're in different continents. We are all connected by our love for words, our love for sharing God's gift within us. And even though we can't see ourselves physically, we are all, I mean, we are connected by Zoom, and I believe every writer, just like Nicole and Renee and Peter, has been called to share their gift with the world, to bring hope with their gift, to be a light unto the world. And it's beautiful when I see people doing that, because writing actually takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to share your works, because and it's so funny, because sometimes, I mean, talking for myself personally, sometimes I write things and I'm afraid, what will people think read this?
Yes.
But you just have to share it, because there's definitely someone out there who's going to resonate with what you're saying. There's someone out there who's going to be blessed. There's someone out there who's even, I mean, the person could also be riled up, or could find it, it might not be their cup of tea, but it could make them think. It could make them see light. It could make them see the world from a different light. And like I said earlier, it's such a privilege and such an honor to be amongst you guys. My name is Ifeanyi. I'm also in Nigeria, like Peter, but I'm in Abuja. Abuja is the capital city of Nigeria. And I'm a writer. I've written 3 books thus far, 2 poetry collections and 1 short story collection. This is my second poetry collection. It's titled Alive in the Memory of Stars. This was released in 2021. And this is my most recent book, which was released in February this year. It's called A Backpack Filled with Sunsets. It's a collection of short stories. And, with my work explores spirituality, it explores love, it explores death, it explores, things that unite us as humans. And I think with my work, what I'm trying to do is to make everybody feel seen, to make everybody feel heard, to make everybody know that they belong on the table. They don't have to take the crumbs from the table. They belong on the table. And with my writing, I hope I'm able to convey that message, that everybody is welcome to the table, because that's what God wants. Everybody is welcome to partake of the beauty of life. So yeah, so good to be here once again. Thank you so much, Peter.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's very amazing. And I love all that you've said concerning your books. We'll be having another section for recitation. So if you have any poem you love to recite, you can keep that alongside. I don't know if
I think somebody's
Saidi,
raising their hand, I believe.
you said?
I saw the emoji for a raised hand.
Yeah, I don't know if Saidi is ready. Saidi, are you there?
Yes, I'm around.
I think you.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay. Okay, I'd hand over to you now to pick it up from there to talk a bit about your book. I can see you're muting your video and audio
All
on
right.
your side.
All right, I'm ready. No problem.
Your audio is being muted and on mute. I don't know. Is that fine now?
You're fine.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am glad.
Mm.
I think that's a break from the network side. We have quite amazing network here in Nigeria.
You can say that again.
So sometimes it gets fucked up. I do a lot of this, and sometimes when I speak, my mouth will open. And I'm speaking.
Yeah,
I hate when he does that.
So I can understand. Wow, that's quite a long cease. That's quite a long cease. I don't know if he's still there. Yeah, that's quite a long cease. We'd probably have to rejoin again. So I think we'd love to move into the section for poetic recitation before Saidi joins back again. Yeah, I have my own poem that I love to recite, but I love to pick it up from Nicole's side if you have a poem there with you. Right? Are you ready? Do you have a poem there you love to
You want to
recite?
start with me first? Yes.
Ladies first.
We're not doing that, Nicole. Be ready. Be ready.
Yes,
be
ma'am.
ready. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So I want to do Creature of Habit. It's from the chapter out of my book, Mirror's Reflection.
Oh,
It's for Cry of Redemption. It's from the chapter Cry of Redemption. And I'm sorry. Here it is.
I have a copy of Nicole's book here, Transparent Moment, which I reviewed a year ago.
Yes, he did.
It's
a wonderful
very,
review.
very
Thank you. So this is out the book, Mirror's Reflection, and this poem is called Creature of Habit, out of my chapter of Cry of Redemption. Being a creature of habit in a minefield filled with rabbit holes is numbing, especially in a ritualistic contentment type way. I can never tell you how I made it here, but it always seems that I always wake up right in the middle of the minefield filled with rabbit holes, confused, with hard, tied hard behind my back. I used to wake up sweaty, fearful, with racing heart. Now I just wake up like, dang, I'm here again. Sometimes I roll over and go back to sleep with one hand in one of the rabbit holes, like it's a cookie jar, almost totally relaxed. It happens more often now. It's almost comfortable, especially in a normalized ritualistic type way. I wonder if I'm looking like the world now. The end. So I wrote that poem because being a Christian, you have your times when you're on fire for God, and then you have your times when you just feel dry, spiritually dry, or times when you straddle the fence. Now you know you love God. That's not the question. But being in this world and living in the spiritual and in the natural, you find yourself going through times of where you backslidden and you become convicted or condemned by that. So I wrote that one day about being a creature of habit, doing the same thing over again in a minefield, a dangerous place filled with rabbit holes, going down a rabbit hole. And that's why I wrote that, because I was struggling at that time. That's why I love the chapter Cry of Redemption, because it was my cry to God. It was my cry about my spiritual situation at that time.
Wow. That's quite amazing. And it's quite amazing to know that we have quite a lot of people who have written on the theme of spirituality.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's quite amazing to know.
You wrote that from your heart. You can feel it, Nicole. Really,
yes,
I can feel you reading that piece. And again, that is a piece we spoke about earlier that can connect to that Christian, but it can also connect to that person who's worldly, and it can also connect to that person who has backslid into the world some. And so there's a powerful message for all of us to take from that particular piece. And so that's why I said you have to use your voice. Wow.
I tell people all the time, with me, it's not church as usual. It's not.
That's right.
Because we have become so traditional in our views of Christianity. And that's why I tell people my book is raw. Yes, I'm a Christian, but I want to give it to you real, because you have to draw people in. And if you're walking like you on cloud nine, or you then hit the 12 pearly gates, you're not going to draw other people in because they're going to feel shame because they're going to look at you like something angelic, but they're not understanding that you got the same struggles as well. So that's
Mm,
why I write my book in such that form, because I want to be real.
yeah.
I'm just as real and just as human as anybody else, but yet I'm spiritual just as well too.
But who did Jesus walk with? Prostitutes,
Man,
murderers, tax collectors. So he went out into the world. So that's where your words have to go, to meet people out there.
yes, highways and byways.
Yeah. So I don't know if Ifeanyi have a poem over there.
Yeah, no, I wanted to comment on what she said, what
Okay.
the poem she read. I think it reminds me of David in the Bible.
Wow.
David in the Bible also had a lot of challenges, even though he walked with God, he heard from God, he was anointed and chosen by God. And you can see him, talking about his feelings in the book of Psalms. There's a
Yes.
lot of, sometimes David is praising God, sometimes it's like, God, why have you forsaken me? Sometimes it's like, he's all over the place. But
All over.
it's the beauty. Yeah, it's the beauty of being human. We definitely know we are connected to the divine, but sometimes we lose sight of that connection. And it's good that writing and art is a way to express that desire to reconnect, the desire
Yes.
to be reunited with the beauty of, with the presence of God. So that's I appreciate that.
I'm so excited that we have quite a lot of people that whose idea relate with mine.
Yes. That's why I love your writings.
I thought it's only me.
No,
No.
I
no,
never knew that there
no,
are other people
no.
that buy these ideas. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I told you, Peter, when you sent me your book, I had projects galore all over the place. And I thought, well, I'll get to it when I can get to it. I opened it and page 1 and page 10. And before I knew it, I was sitting there
Right.
writing a review. So, no, it really was a powerful book. And it connects to all walks of life.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. So, who would love to go ahead with the second recitation? I have
I
mine
I,
here, but
I think
who would
the
love to
second
go
lady should.
second?
That's Renee.
Okay.
Okay, would you like me to go? So this
Yes,
piece
please.
I wrote, I think when I was in the bachelor's program, I believe I wrote this piece, but it was actually the first video that my kids put up. I was in fear of social media. I fought with my children with that MySpace thing over the years, so I was so against social media, so they were shocked. So they put this poem up and got up the next day to go to church. It had like 850 views. So I think it's somewhere about
Yes.
18,000 views on this thing now or
Wow.
somewhere there.
Yes.
So this was my coming out poem, Nicole. So you're not alone in that about being afraid to share our words. This poem is titled Plight. It was also the first piece that I read while in grad. Plight. You don't get that right to understand our plight. Were you there when that slave girl was killed the very day they stole her away? Were you there when that slave girl was bound, shackled, and chained, cowbells on the neck that rang? Were you there when she rode that vast ocean on Noah's waves of never ending rains? Were you there at her door of no return, uneducated to your custom and ways, with an unfair playing ground while trying to learn? Were you there standing on that auction block at 14 years of age as she watched that auctioneer's gavel drop? Sold to the highest bidder, he'd say. To her dismay, all was at loss, down to her family just given away, free of cost. Were you there as she picked a bale, oh cotton? Were you there when sorting out the bushels that rotted? Were you there as she picked all through her midnight? Were you there when she couldn't give Massa any fight? Were you there when she warmed Massa anytime he wanted, both day and or night? Were you there when she had to cast all her cares on a God she was told didn't even care? Were you there as she entered those back doors? Were you there when she was called a wench, slut, whore, and then some more? Were you there when she was kicked to the ground like Christ, got back up and never made a sound? Were you there when she had to eat slime and hogs? Were you there to watch her treated far less than a dog? Were you there when mixed babies came from her? Were you there when she begged Master to keep those chitlins and that there dirt plus for the ones not belonging to her? Were you there as she watched so many hung on high? Were you there when she stood tall at it all, never allowing to cry? Were you there while she couldn't tire, sleep, nor snore? Were you there when she polished silverware, plucked string beans while cleaning on hands and knees? Oh, those hated hardwood floors. Were you there when Missy lied on her? Were you there at her foul treatment, far less than dirt? Were you there at her rapes, beatings, and cries? Were you there as she wondered if God even cared, let alone was alive? Were you there when she prayed to just die? Were you there when she ate humility pie? Were you there at worship while sitting in that balcony, asking permission to use only Black facilities? Were you there when that slave girl was killed the day they stole her away? And you have the nerve to wonder why you don't get that right to understand our plight. I've been there because she lives in the still of my nights. Thank you.
Wow.
You're welcome. Thank
That's
you.
amazing. I love the tone of your recitation. You know, there's a way that poets reach their work, and you feel you'll be, captured. Unlike when other person reads it. Because one thing about poetry, that poetry comes from the soul. I love to consider poetry as a language of the soul. That's my definition of poetry. If anyone asks me, Peter, what's poetry to you? Poetry is a language of the soul. It is the words that comes from within. And sometimes when poetry cite their work, it has this level of emotions and understanding than when someone else recited, because they get to understand what they're saying, and there's a way they can change their tone and to fit into some certain words and lyrics in a way that it will captivate you. So I'd love to say fantastic, really.
I love the dramatics. I have to find my way there, but yes, I love it.
Play with it. Play with it. I admire our rappers. Some of the language can be toned, but I admire our young men and women across the globe, our rappers and that, because they do it so well, because they have the natural gift of rhythm built in us. And so when you said that, play with your words as you're reading your words, point to the sky, to God, or your heart, or your mind, your body, your soul.
That's great. And I'd love to read from my book. I'd love to recite a poem titled A Conversation with Obstacle. Conversation with Obstacle, from page 47 of A Cry for Mercy. This is a conversation with obstacle. It's kind of, I don't even know I came up with the title, but let's see the sort of conversation that the narrator have had with obstacle. Hello, obstacle. How are you getting home? I've longed to have some discussion with you. I've got a lot of gnarly questions to ask you. Inquiries that perturbed me about your identity. I hope you will answer me and communicate your reason as soon as possible, because my soul is extremely disturbed. How do you feel when you impede the success of a man? Tell me, is it your joy to watch a man languish in the pool of stagnation? Why do you always hinder the progress of a man? Don't you ever feel ashamed whenever you cause a man's eyes to tears? Obstacle, why are you so mean? You obstruct the good luck of a man, yet never said sorry to him. You hurt cruelly with no iota of remorse. Obstacle, are you a spirit or a human? How well must one prepare to wrestle against you? You wage war against a man's progress without a physical weapon. What exactly is your gain for frustrating a man's fortune? Why do you leave him hopeless and to desperately yearn? Obstacle, do you have compassion at all?
Mm.
Don't you realize that your presence breeds some problems in a man's life? You've sent many souls to hell grave. You've truncated and destroyed many destinies. You've killed much hope and yet buried them. I have a question for you. What is your mission in a man's life? I ask these questions because you've desperately dealt with me. You left me in years of melancholy that I disputed the realness of my fate. You left me in the prison of art struggle, and ignominy was the only friend available to keep my company. The voice of my hope faints that tomorrow became so obscure. You left me in
Mm.
years of pang that my hope even committed suicide. Obstacle, who exactly are you? A spirit or a fiend? I am vexed. Please tell me if you have a deal with my fate. I surely know that you are a part of every human's life. I know that there are times that you might have to frustrate a man's life and cause him to experience trying time. But why are you so intentional in my case? Why do you slow down the pace to achieving my goals? Why do you fluster the reality of my plans? Why do you hinder my journey to meet faith? Are you deliberate or unintentional in your deed? Obstacle, what exactly do you want from me? I have a
Mhm.
question for you. What connection do you have with near success syndrome? Someone said that most time your presence paved way for greater things in a man's life. But how realistic could that be? I am of the opinion that they've said so that obstacles victim would keep his or her hope alive. Nonetheless, I have a question for you. Are you a spiritual force or a mere phenomenon? The
Mm.
wrenching of my soul is unbearable that I consulted a specialist. I narrated my tragic story to him, expecting some medicine of fortune. I was surprised when he told me that my current impediment is the way to my fate. How? Why? I melancholically asked. If impediment is a way to fate, how about the many undried tears? If obstacle is a path to achieving destiny, how about those who have died in the chaos of its pang? Were they impatient or couldn't cope with the extreme scourge of obstacle? If obstacle is a way to fate, how about those who left me in my days of throes? If order is a part of fortune, why does it block me at every minute of breakthrough? Is it that
Mm.
those successes aren't meant for me and that a greater one is reserved somewhere? If so be, what is the function of an obstacle in realizing the fate of a man? A guider or a sorrow kindler? Who should I blame of my need to experience impediment before I see fate?
Mm.
Level of my impediment catalysts my fate and fame? How should I have coped with the shame of obstacles? How do you want me to feel when I see the progress of other people and yet gaps in the dungeon of barrier?
Mm.
Obstacle, I think you're a heartless fool.
Mm.
In order to abstain from shame, I refrain from narrating my story. I lose interest in telling the tale of my pang because while I expect some help, I'm rather ridiculed and avoided. Hope, whom I should have confided in, betrayed me. Fate, the heart to strengthen me, failed me. My close ones aren't in right position to help me. Fate, left me to struggle with obstacle, even though I cried to my creator for help. It was as if my tears were not seen at all. Obstacle. I have a question for you. How many times must a man fail to achieve success? How many times must a man cry before he would laugh? Haven't I been conscious enough? Haven't I been prayerful enough? Am I
Mm,
not qualified for fortune? How long will it take me to meet fate when impediment seduces me on the road?
mm,
Question for you, obstacle. How strong are you? I don't
mm.
know if my moves will be attended to, but I wish that you could provide answer to these questions. Hello, obstacle. Are you there? Can you hear me? Aren't
Mm.
you listening anymore? Won't you answer my question? Should I expect a feedback from you or report you to God?
Mm.
That's about a conversation with obstacle.
Love
And
it.
that's the narrator, correct? That's
That's that's kind of I don't know. My kind of poem are somewhat very dread to read, and their words are very very scourging. Even when you read, like,
weighty.
oh no, that's sad to say.
Oh,
Well,
that's what.
I'll say this about the piece that I like. It's just short and sweet. When I heard you reading, and I began to think about faith being the substance of things that we hope for that we can't see. And as I kept hearing the refrains of those questions throughout the whole piece, you just kept hammering us with question after question after question. Um, I also think about how many obstacles get in the way of our faith. And, for the things that we need to be believing on that we can't see, but yet those obstacles prevent us from going forward, more so to speak, or moving forward. I love the piece. I love the piece. But that's what made me think of.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
I was just thinking your trust in God never
Yes.
failed in the poem. It never
Mm.
failed. But you saying, hey, these obstacles, are you stronger than God? How strong are you? That's why I get it, because you never denounce God.
Yeah.
You just like give it to him like, hey, this is my struggle. And you talking to the issue, the problem that's occurring. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I love about your poetry so much, because you just keep it 100. When I first read any of your books, I gravitated towards you because that's always been my secret cry. Being a Christian, see,
Mm,
we gotta understand some people would judge you for the way that you relay your message. Oh, do you not believe in God? Or, I mean,
mm,
why are you talking like that? No, that's not what it is. I'm living in this human body and I'm seeing these things. Yes, I should not be looking out of natural eyes, but sometimes it does happen. And that's why I love about your poetry, because it's so raw and real, and it's authentic. And I was like, man, this young cat, excuse my language, he speaks my prayers. He speaks the thoughts in my mind that sometimes I'm scared to relate to other people,
honestly,
some
honestly.
other Christian friends, because they're gonna question my relationship with God. And I'm not questioning my relationship. I'm just telling you what I'm going through right now. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing right now. And that's what I love about your writing so much. And it shouldn't I always used to be fearful, excuse me. I used to always be fearful of people read my poetry because it's heavy and it's sad, right? It could come off as being sad. And I didn't want them to question my happiness or anything. But when I write, this is me. I write out emotion. So that's why I could connect with you, because when you write, I noticed you like to laugh and crack jokes and different things like that. But when you write, you on this other different plane, you expressing your soul. You speaking from the language of the heart, like you say. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. So sometimes when I go over the poem, especially the ones in Fate to the Dungeon of Doom, those ones are overly very sad, emotional. I'm like, how did I even come up with these words? How did you write all these terrible words together here? At the time, I recently produced a second edition of it, and I was like, wow, this is too deep. This is unbelievable. This is
Another
fantastic.
plane.
And that's actually is great. Is great. I love it that way.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if Saidi, are you ready now?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, yeah. So we'll give you some few minutes to talk about your book, and yeah, pick it up from there.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate. Good evening, everyone. My name is Abdulaziz Saeed Abdullah, Pathfinder. I'm the author of this book titled The Pathfinder. This book was launched earlier this month, the month of November, and is a book of anthology of poetry. It consists of 50 poems. So I'm going to say a little about this book. This book has a lot of inspiration, daring, and motivational speech. It consists of 50 poems, as I said earlier. The first poem was titled The Fountain of Inspiration. The Fountain of Inspiration is one of the leading poems I've ever written in my life. I could remember vividly the first time I wrote this poem, I shared it on my Facebook platform, and I could remember I had up to 1,000 comments and up to 1,500 likes.
Wow.
So that inspired me that, oh, I think I'm really doing well. So that's why when I was arranging the poems in this book, I put the Fountain of Inspiration as one of the first poems that the readers would meet in the book. Now, as you can see, the book was edited by Mr. Peter, the initiator of this program. He was quite the one who initiated this program. He was the one who edited my book. He has his editorial review at the back of the notes. Considerably, we have Peter Okonkwo, the author and the host of P
Wow.
English Literature, is actually the one who edited this poem. So there are numerous things to see and witness in this book. I would like to recite one of the poems here, if I'm permitted.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so there's a poem titled The Tears of an Orphan. The Tears of an Orphan. Okay, I would like to read it out to the ear, to the listening of everyone. There is one thing that inspired me to write this poem, The Tears of an Orphan. In our society here in Nigeria, the orphan are being maltreated, and I find it so hard to endure this maltreatment. So that's why I write a poem on this, The Tears of an Orphan. Please, Panik, I'm really sorry. I could try to figure out this poem.
Okay.
Just give me a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, and take him close to where it is.
Yeah, you're waiting.
Okay, right. I have it here. I'm really sorry. Now, the tears of an orphan, his eyes were as red as flame, and it dwells not in grace but shame. Those who cherished him forsake him. Now he is helpless like a coach without a team. Like a man whose wife is in labor, he is anxious, waiting for a favor. The depth of his road made him unstable, like a transformer without a cable. Just like a mirage his dream has become. He lives then in luxury, now in a slum, struggling to afford 3 square meals, and none is ready to pay for his bill. His wishes were as numerous as stars, but unattainable until it sent the scales. Permanently, it will be in his heart, for he is hopeless despite being smart. He needed support, but was left in solitude. His fortitude to succeed ended in servitude. If he is neglected due to the loss of loved one, a day shall come when he will become someone. The sun has no relatives like stars, but she is brighter than trillions of stars. The power of vulnerability today will become your savior someday. The
Mm.
orphans are to be honored like treasure. They are not to be abandoned to live in pressure. Your care will become their depression and grant them access to attain the vision. So this poem was titled The Tale of an Orphan, and there are many poems to look into in this book titled The Pathfinder. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we find it so hard to market our books. There's a saying here in Nigeria that if you have no connection, you find it difficult to succeed. Yeah, it's really the case here in Nigeria. So I've written this point. I didn't being out the connection. I think this book of anthology can move very far because there are many things to look into. The points are filtered out. They are written in a simple language, which even someone who is not learned in literature can really read this poem and understand its content. But unfortunately, here in Nigeria, we have the problem of marketing because if you don't have that same name connection, you find it difficult to trade the book. And this will lead me into the topic that was being introduced by the initiator of this. That how can an author trade his book? How can he become a bestseller in the market? Now, using Nigeria as a case study, here in Nigeria, though we have some writers that are really vibrant, that intelligent, even the books are great and scintillating. Even when you read it, you feel that, how can Nigeria produce this type of writer? But the problem we're having here, as I said earlier, is the problem of not having the right connection. Now, without the right connection, how can we survive? For the citizen of Nigeria, then I think one of the best medium we can use is to try to bring in our book into the platform known as Amazon. This Amazon, when you publish your book on Amazon, you can have those who appreciate your book. Even if not the most, that your fellow citizens are the one who's going to appreciate your work. So through this Amazon KPD format, you can sell your book out and you have a lot of people who are going to appreciate that. Because we don't need to depend on our government anymore. We don't need to seek for connection. The connection is there in our art and our ability to keep on working hard without getting frustrated or giving up. So if I were to look at the situation of our country here in Nigeria, I don't think anybody will wish to write, even though you have the talent therein. Like since when I've published my book, I've just sold few of the books out. So if I'm to look at that, I won't have the motivation to write more. But I don't to look at that aspect because I know with a spirit of going on without giving up, the tenacity will one day grant me my desire so I can have my dream of becoming one of the greatest poets in the world. Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
That's amazing. That's quite a lot of words. That's quite amazing. And I would love to say that, well, I never even, I've forgotten that I was one of the editors. It's quite, I just remembered now. And I do love Saidi's work. One of the things I love about his work is the fact that it talks about the Nigerian situation. It talks about this, the happenings in our society. And it's kind of very fine to have someone to write about what is happening currently in the Nigerian society. And talking about the beat of marketing, it has always been every self-published author's, issue. It has been a challenge when it comes to work. A lot of works are very good out there that languish in silence that people don't know about. So it's all our work to push ourselves out there and do the best of our ability. Thank you. That's quite a great, delivery and everything.
Thank you so
If I
much
may
for the
add
opportunity.
the one thing, not so much just about the writing, but is it techno spark?
His name is Saidi. I don't know. I think
Saidi.
that's techno is maybe the phone
Okay.
name.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, Mr. Saidi, when you spoke about, having all the comments, I do love that when I see the African culture come out for one another. I noticed that I don't see that in a lot of other cultures or other people, but I will say when I see a lot of my African brothers and sisters online post something, they do have a strong camaraderie between one another to come out strong for each other with wonderful comments. And I really like that when you said that. That truly means a lot to us as writers to hear appreciation from our brothers and sisters, our family. It's nice from across the globe, but just when your own supports you, that makes all the difference in the world. And I think that's somewhere where we struggle as African American women and writers. We don't tend to have that backing a lot.
That's fantastic. So I'd love to move to Ifeanyi to give us a bit of his poem recitation.
Thank you. Before I go ahead, I just want to say I really my phone cut off earlier on, but I wanted to say I really loved the recitation by Otto Rene, the passion with which she rendered the words. I believe she was talking about slavery, and I want to take a master class from her really because
Oh,
she yeah, she I was feeling every word she was saying. That was how powerful. Like it was heartfelt. And I just wanted to say that before I go ahead. And also I really liked your poem. I love, it reminded me of, I feel like if Job in the Bible had written a poem, it would have been something like that because Job went through shit. And throughout like throughout our lifetimes and even in the past and everything, everybody goes through stuff like that where we ask questions. And
mm,
it's with your writing, it's all about you're giving the words to people who might not have the words. You're expressing it for them, and they consider, oh, I'm not alone. This writer from somewhere in Nigeria went through what I'm going through, or this person from wherever it's going. So it connects us. I love that connection. I love you know the connection, and also yeah, like beautiful stuff, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so the poem I'm reading is from my second collection titled Alive in the Memory of Stars, but the poem is titled And a Little Child Shall Lead Them. It's from a Bible passage in Isaiah where it's just a very lovely picture where it says the lion shall lie with the lamb, the calf shall lie with these, and then it ends with and a little child shall lead them. I've always found that picture very fascinating. So that was part of what inspired the poem because I also believe that are children are our greatest teachers. I mean, this might sound crazy, but I believe that we have a lot to learn from children because they are just coming from the source and they have a lot of qualities which we once had but we lost, but which we can also regain. So really, if we really study children, I mean, there's a lot we can learn from them. There's a lot of beauty. There's a lot of the innocence, a lot of the way of seeing the world through a lens of wonder. It's beautiful. Like as a poet, as no matter what you are, a poet, an engineer, a teacher, a pastor, a lawyer, children have a lot to teach us. So this poem is really it's more like an admonishment to children, but yeah, let's go. Dear child, running wild through the fields, planting joy through your feet, even through growing pains, may your heart always be light. May it soar above it all like the skies, like the kites you fly up in the air. Dear child, your imagination is a castle of colors, sisal, violet, and deep pine green on your fingers. May your life, like your coloring books, always be filled with vibrant hues, and may time never erode the artist in you.
mm,
Dear child, you are filled with questions, curious about this grand cosmos. May you gallop through your years with that curiosity. May your questions liberate you and the world around you, whether they bring answers or not. Dear child, may love never be foreign to you. May you have the courage to tap into its endless reserve within you, giving, receiving, and creating worlds beyond worlds, all in the name of love. Yeah,
Mm,
that's pretty much it.
wow, that's amazing.
Thanks. Thank you.
love it.
What was that poem? Maybe you all can help me. Was it a brown child or brown girl? Or brown, it was brown something. It was the question to the brown child. I kept going back, but that's what his poem reminded me of.
Yeah, you say
Um,
there's a brown girl in the ring. Da 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 da.
no, no, and you stick to poetry. Really, your singing's like mine. No, but oh gosh, I'll try to find it and get that link to Peter for you. But that poem reminded powerful poem, and it's well known. So I'm surprised you just don't know it, and we've all heard it. I just can't think of it right now. But and isn't that just how we are as brown children and growing up? Just was full of questions and so many uncertainties I really like that about your poem and your piece, but you really need to connect to that other poem. It reminded me so much of that powerful poem.
Yeah, I believe if you find a link, you could send it to Peter. It will definitely share it with me.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm sure
I
that.
like the simplicity that was in a poem. How kids, like kids are just so pure and organic from them walking in the forest and the green on their hands. You was just showing all the simple things, not the weighing of the world on them. I like that poem. I really enjoyed it. You show the innocence, the purity, and everything in that poem. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's quite amazing. And from now, I'll be moving into our next section, which is an open discussion on how authors become a bestseller. We've been having this conversation since the start of the conference, the day one, part one, and part two, the day two, part one, and part two, day three, part one, and part two. And there's a fourth one we're having. It is something we've been discussing all along. And I also love to put it up here too, and how authors actually become a bestseller. It's an open discussion. Everybody can come up with their own ideas of what they perceive as the roadmap or how authors, get into the way of becoming a bestseller.
Sorry, I was going to say something. Like, believe me, there is, people always say, yeah, reading is a dying culture. And that's true because, I mean, technology is advancing. People are, their mind, their attention is getting shorter. This attention span is getting shorter and shorter. But what is there looking for books to read? There are people out there who are forever on the hunt for new books, forever on the hunt for the books you've written. And I think the problem or the challenge is, how do you meet them halfway? Where do you find them? How do you connect with them? And I mean, what I'm going to suggest from my own experience is that Reddit. I don't know if anybody yet Facebook, but it's quite popular in the USA and in Canada and in some other countries. On Reddit, there are a lot of subreddits that cater to people that read. Um, Whatever subreddit, there are subreddits for Black readers, there are subreddits for people that read just fantasy books, subreddits for people that read just poetry. And most of my sales has actually come from Reddit because what I've done is I've gone to this place. I mean, there was a post that went viral. I mean, if a post has over 6,000 likes, that's definitely viral. All I did was I held a picture of my book, smiling, and I was like, writing this book was the best thing I've done this year, and it got a lot of likes. And I got some books sold that day. Unfortunately, I mean, one thing I've also learned is that the amount of likes you get does not translate to sales. I mean, I got 6,000 likes, but I didn't get 6,000 sales. But a lot of people, it would have been wonderful if I got 6,000 sales. But a lot of people, it's raised the conversation, and people were curious, like, where can they get it? Where can they buy it? So, I mean, just the totality of what I'm trying to say is that people out there who want to buy your book, you just have to find them. And one thing you should do is that when it comes to like marketing books and trying to get people to get to buy them, is that sometimes people don't like being out there. They don't like feeling that you are promoting yourself to them. So you have to try to sell them something that they want. Are they looking for beauty? Are they looking for a break from reality? Are they looking for fantasy? Are they looking for something that will make them connect to their inner child? So you sell that through your work, and in that way you find the people. You definitely find people who would resonate with your work, and hopefully, I mean, that's a good thing. I noticed you have a lot of reviews. One good thing about reviews is that when someone reviews it, they share it with other people. It raises the visibility for your books, and who knows, tomorrow everybody in the world might know Peter Okonkwo. Who knows, tomorrow everybody might know Nicole, everybody might know Said, or everybody might know Renee. Like, it's a long process. You just don't stop. You keep on going at it, keep on going at it. And the last thing I'll just add is that you don't write one book and stop. you have to write multiple books. You have to keep on writing and writing and writing, because the more you put out there, it might be your fifth book that could get you the recognition you need. It might be your 10th book. It might be your 20th book. Who knows? I mean,
Wow.
I mean, I'm deviating a bit, but I was looking at the Latin Grammys happened some days ago. This is a bit different from books, but the winner of the best new artist in the Latin Grammys was a 95-year-old person.
Wow.
The 95-year-old person won best new artist. Now, if she at 95 had stopped when she was 70, nobody will know who she is today. But she kept impressing. I mean, I'm definitely, I hope none of us get to 95 before our books get the recognition they need. But I'm just trying to use that as an illustration that you just have to keep on keeping on. Like, everybody has their time, everybody has an appointed time, but you have to be ready at the appointed time. It's kind of like the parable of the 10 virgins. The five who didn't have the lamp. You have to be ready. The appointed time comes and you're not ready. I mean, who knows? Yeah, exactly. So, just keep writing, keep sharing, keep doing your thing, really. Like, you can never can tell. That's just it. Just keep doing your thing. And one day, someday, you go far. But also remember that even with these days of little beginnings, you're also making an impact. There are people who are reading your works and they enjoy it. If two people read your work and they are blessed by it, that's powerful. You should not ignore that. You should not look down on that. So just keep doing your thing, and one day you get a bigger audience. It's just everything is a matter of time and chance. Like King Solomon said, time and chance happens to everyone. So just keeping on.
Yes.
That's a lot of education. Very
Oh,
informative.
it's powerful, very powerful what he said, every bit of it. And that is how you do grow to become a best-selling author. I think just piggybacking off of it, give me the pronunciation of your name, because I'm so terrible.
Benny, I'm not sure can you hear her? I'm not hearing from here.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Give me the pronunciation of the last gentleman who spoke's name. I want to say it correctly.
Okay, Ifeanyi.
Say that again, please.
Ifeanyi.
Ifeanyi?
Yeah, exactly.
I know I'm messing up, but charge it to my head, not my heart. Charge it to my head, not my heart.
The irony,
it was so powerful.
The irony is that name, it's from the Igbo tribe, and it means nothing is impossible.
Wow.
So whenever you say it, you are framing, so when you say it's the company name Ifeanyi, it means nothing is impossible with God. So whenever you say Ifeanyi, you're saying nothing is impossible. Like, I'm a living testimony, nothing is indeed impossible. So that's so cool.
Love it. Anywho, just piggybacking, author Ifeanyi, on what you said. I think it's important in terms of publication. What do we do when we get that book published? You need to create an author's page online. A lot of authors' books are all over the place, meaning I go to look up Nicole, and Nicole, you don't have a last name there, but I'll just take Nicole Clark. I go to look up Nicole. Give me your last name so we can say it, so we can begin to follow your works.
Yes, ma'am. Gillespie.
I go to look up Nicole Gillespie on Amazon. Well, she comes up with one of her books with several other authors. What I need to see is when I put your name in that Amazon search, all your books need to come up under your name with an author's page, with a created short bio, short, 100 words or less, because a lot of times people are drawn away when there's too much to say about yourself. So, get to the point, get in and get out quickly with your name, any maybe education you have there, any they have, maybe your genre of writing that you do, not your husband, your dog's name, your kid's name. Leave all of that out. Very, very professional. a nice headshot online. It goes a long way. With maybe a small pearl necklace or something, just powerful, a nice headshot of yourself, a nice smile, and put that on with your author's page. As I said, the short bio, and all of your books should be lined up right there. That helps some of the trafficking of us finding you over here and finding you over there. You have a book created on Author House, because with Amazon, what is good about that with the author's page, even your other books will all be on that author's page on Amazon. So they can purchase. Now here's the downside to that. When you write a Lulu book or an Author House book or a Westbow Press book, and someone purchased it off of Amazon, well, then your funds begin to go down tremendously because everyone has to get a cut in that book. So it's important, even for you, to know this, and Mr. Fasant, as authors. If we know that Peter Okonkwo's book is published by Author House Publication, don't purchase it off of Amazon, though it's there. You take the extra effort to go over to Author House and purchase his book there. He'll get more of his royalties and revenues that come back to him from where the book is actually purchased. Another thing, Nicole, that you did was powerful. I noticed when you first started talking, you immediately told us about one book and you put up that other book. Well, certainly if Peter has 6 or 7 books, he can't do that. And then that goes back to why all his work needs to be, his body of work, in one place that we can get to it easily. So the fact that you have 2 books and you're working on that 3rd book, that was wonderful what you did. Advertise, advertise, advertise. You should never stop. Earrings I have on are my books. Writings on the back of my books. They were a gift given to me. So usually, of a couple of my books from my daughter. So when I go out to read poetry, I'll put that on. I'll put that on. I don't know if the words are in here yet, but I have Renee's Poems with Wings of Words in Flight. I have it. I'll put something like that on my barrettes, when I go out to read, so that you're always being very meticulous in your advertisement of your own body of works. Peter did something also that was like wonderful and reaching out to me, asking, hey, if I sent out, this book to you. And as I said, I was just swamped. I really didn't have the time, but the book was just so good. But in sending out his books, this is another thing that I usually do over the holidays. I call what I call stocking stuffers. I'll put on my Facebook page for other authors I do that all the time, even throughout the year. I'll say, hey, drop your books here on this page. So it's not open for just to put books on my page at any time. But when I have that link up, you get authors from all over that just drop their books on my page. I'm not judgmental. Everyone's writings are different. I won't advertise any porn or things like that's coming off my page because that reflects me. But I try to respect everybody is not a writer like me, and you have to, embrace all walks of life if you can, more so to speak. So just always be ready. Nicole, when I said you said, oh no, don't go to me first. Be ready for us to come to you first to promote that book that is published. Have that book ready to show. Be ready to be that first reader.
Yes.
And then last, and then I'll move on to let someone else speak, but also your material. We certainly have probably thousands and thousands. I'm sure Peter does, you, Nicole, and all of my other brothers that are on this platform today have lots of poems. But learn 1 or 2 of your poems in your head. Have them inside of you that you're ready when you walk in that room. And also maybe one of your favorite authors that you can recite their work. I love Dr. Maya Angelou, and I love Still I Rise. I have to be ready. And I do have to look sometimes back at her book, but when I'm in a room and someone says, "Hey, what you got?" I have a one piece of, I ain't got nothing but pride. I walk with a strut, swaying these big bone hips, pep in my step, cornbread collars and ham hocks flame. For all this arrogance claims my face, uppityness is what it is. I can't escape. Pure grace I come from diamonds, salt and gold, iron, cobalt, copper of old, silver, petroleum, cocoa, wood, and tropical fruits that one cannot hide. I ain't got nothing but pride. Don't hate me because I smile from your seas to shining seas. This land's your land. No dog in this fight. I ain't got nothing but pride. Remember Sheba? Solomon's love surely can't hide this black sister's pride. He loved her way back then and still dotes on her again. And throughout my created plight, I ain't got nothing but pride. That's why my head's held on high. Be ready.
Wow.
Love it. Love
Be
it.
ready.
Yes.
You have to be ready when you want, if you want me to believe you. Now, again, we can't remember everything about our poetry. We have so much material, but get one of those pieces, maybe your anthem poem, that poem that speaks to the depths of your soul, Nicole, the poem that speaks to the depths of your soul, Peter, and be ready to spit that thing out, if you will, wherever you are. It makes you, I think, more authentic as a poet. So I'm going to say this to say this. Just imagine yourself, you getting introduced at somewhere for you to speak, and you're walking up to take that mic, and maybe it's just that first, with Maya Angelou, Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high. Still, I rise. Hi, I'm Renee Drummond Brown, and I'm going to read such and such to you today. That was just a little snippet from Dr. Maya Angelou, my mentor, my whatever idol, my whatever. And then you walk in like that. There's a big difference in, I don't want to go first. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. And Nicole, let me tell you something.
I love that.
I've always been a very, very shy person. So I hear you and I feel your spirit. But I had to come out of my shell. Being an African-American woman and going back to school, I was certainly the oldest in the classrooms with a bunch of kids. And then I was the only African-American in 99% of my classes in grad school. So having said that, to say this to you, my voice was not like any other voice. So I had to come out the gates swinging, strong. I couldn't, I had to come out like that. And here I was this shy person, and yet I would hear other writers that say, I don't want to go after her. So here I was just as scared of this film. That's what I'm saying. God gave Peter a voice. He gave you a voice. He gave all of us a voice. And then as far as publications, we are not going to all be the best-selling authors. But in our minds, we can be the best writers that we can be. And we can write from the depths of our soul, and we can put it out there. I studied, there was a gentleman, and I can't, Manley, I want to say his name. I would be lying to you, but I'll give Peter the name later. But I studied him while in grad school, and he struggled with his Christianity in the secular world, more so to speak. So he burnt a lot of his poems. I said all this to say this. His work didn't come out until 50 years after his death. He was not, he is now made well known, and I wish thought I had his name in my mind, but his work is made known. Your work may be studied in classrooms when you are gone.
Absolutely.
Write it, because dot that I and cross that T, someone is going to be your audience. So yes, don't be afraid to publish either. When you learn the writing craft, you got that down pat, and you've learned to now you want to go into publishing for yourself. You want to be an all-around writer. Then after you publish, try that children's book, try that domestic violence book, something that speaks to maybe your soul. Try that book on homelessness, or go into a book that narrows maybe something, because it'll be authentic, because it's coming from you. It's coming from your experience. I felt like this in grad school. Nobody could tell the plight. Nobody, no one in those classrooms, like I could tell the plight of a person of color. An Asian person can tell the plight of what they've gone through or experienced. You get what I'm trying to say to you. Someone from England can tell their plight. No one can tell your story like you. No one. Tell the story. Be dare to jump and go into publications down the road later. Start looking at bigger things. And then the main thing that Saad has said was a lot of material. Put a lot of material, not junk. I'm not saying just get stuff out there, just to get out there, but I'm saying begin to get a lot of material behind your name, because then you have a volume of work, and people they're looking at you from different points of view, because you have so many different worldviews in each of those books that are so different, so that you're not lumped in as a certain type of writer. So, and pricing, let me just say that, and I'm sorry, so many things come to my mind about pricing. In Amazon, so if you're publishing there, you have your ebook pricing. You have authors that'll have an ebook price at $12.99, $13.99. That is just too expensive, because an ebook, in a sense, there's no paper involved. That's just being sent to someone's tablet or whatever. So there's no paper involved. If you want to get yourself known, drop those prices, keep those prices low in that ebook. Keep that low, because your bigger royalties come actually from the ebook. If you have a book that's $20 on Amazon, by the time that Amazon takes the cut to bind the book, make the book, ship the book, you out of that $20 book, you may see $3.50 off of that book. That's the reality.
That's the reality.
Whereas that's the reality. Book. You have an ebook that's I'm gonna say $12.99. Why would I pay $12.99 for an ebook when I can get a whole paperback book sent to me? If you keep that book low and you have that sold for $4, you're making $2 or almost half off of that ebook. So keep the ebook, because that is your introduction to the world. You want the world to get to know you. And if those ebooks are cheap and they're going to just drop that on their tablet, and then they have a thing on Amazon where they can share your ebook. You don't have to sign up for that. Some of my books are signed up for that, where a person can share it for 14 days to family and for friends.
Yeah.
You don't do it to all you don't do it to all of your books, but you certainly want one or two of those books that is being shared, because it's, hey, this girl's pretty good. This guy's pretty good. They read that book. That brings them back to Amazon. Your author's page that has everything together to say, I want to get her other book. I want to get Peter's other book. I like his first book. I want to get that sequel that he has, or I want to get the trilogy that he has in his book. So those are just some little tips. Another thing really that's important, when I would read with paper, and I would read. And the one day my husband said, why do you keep, because he does my videos for me, why do you keep reading from a paper? He said, if someone is seeing your book and you're reading from your book, that's going to make them, oh, wow, I like that poem. I'm going to get that poem. So even if it's a poem, you know, off the top of your head, sometimes use that as a marketing tool. Regardless, you may know the poem, hold that book up, because the whole time you're reading, they're staring at that book. And that may be, hey, I'm gonna go over to Amazon and check that book out. So those are just some of the little tips that I do. Hopefully they'll help.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rennie.
Welcome.
We actually we're kind of running out of time because we're like 7 minutes late. The conference ought to have ended 7 minutes ago. Yeah, so and we haven't Nosike just joining in. I don't know if anybody has any other thing to say. Or you have actually we ought to have ended in 7 minutes ago actually. But you can leave if you want to leave actually. For that. But I just have Nosike to talk briefly about his book that we end the conversation.
Yes.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Anthony Nosike. I'm an author. My book is Godly Romance. I don't have a copy with me here, but the book can be found on Amazon. If you go on Amazon and you check out Godly Romance, Anthony Nosike. The name is on my name is on my Zoom. Yeah, and you could check it out. You can see it for yourself. If you're also interested in if you also would like to have a copy for a discount, you could Facebook me on Facebook. But my book is a relationship book, and it's a Christian relationship book for believers, and I talk about how young ones can walk in a healthy relationship, what they can do, how people can, find love. It's for men and women. I made the book, gender neutral, and I think people will like it regardless of the age. It's a pretty nice book.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's quite amazing. That's quite amazing to know. And thanks for joining along the line. And
thank you. I'm so sorry for being late. I had work and everything. So sorry.
Oh, no problem. That's good. I don't know if anybody have any other thing to say. Rounding up because we are almost 9 minutes late to the end of the conference. And I just want to say, I'm going to add a link in the description part of the video to everybody's bio link to getting their books on Amazon. And we can from there go ahead and connect. Thank you so much, Nicole Gillespie. Thank you very much, Rennie Drummond Brown. Thank you, Anthony Nosike. It's a pleasure having you in the final edition of the English Literature Writers Conference.
Wow. Thank you for having me.
Make sure you connect, Nicole.
Yes, ma'am. I will. I appreciate you, Peter.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you, Anthony, and most definitely Miss Renee and Mr. Ezeki. And did I say not? I don't know if I say his name right, but I enjoyed him. I love his poetry. Yes.
And Anthony, we have to hear your voice the next time that Peter has one of these. We'd love to hear something from you.
Yeah. I'll be busy with work and everything. I apologize. Yeah.
Well, I'm leaving now, but y'all know Mr. Peter is my mentor.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. It's a pleasure.
All right, everybody, take care.
Yeah.